Hot and humid in Singapore today as Liverpool ramp up their plans for the new season. The preparations have been going well. The camp in Germany was a real success. But now it's on to the next level, on to the next step. Leicester City, the opponents, rivals for many of the past few Premier League seasons. Now, of course, I think it's a surprise to many, having dropped down to the Championship, looking to get back up. Plenty of departures, plenty of arrivals in terms of their personnel over the past couple of months since they were relegated. But this is all about Liverpool. A huge crowd has turned out, huge support for the team that will be in white and green today. Liverpool debuting that new away kit, the one that looks back to the 1990s and the days of Fowler and co. Leicester have their support here, but this is all about Liverpool. The training session we saw yesterday was incredible, the amount of people that were there, the supporters at the hotel. In truth, we expect that, but it is all about business. It's great for engagement, it's great to meet the fans out here, it's great to work with the partners out here, but for Jurgen Klopp and his team right now, as you can see from the starting 11 we've seen today, Gary Gillespie, this is very much all about business.
Well, it's all about what happens on the football pitch, really. I think all the commercial stuff that goes with it is part and parcel of modern day football, isn't it? Like most of the top clubs do it, and it's one of these things that, like, obligation that you have when you're like such a club like Liverpool, and you know the global attraction that we have, whether it be in the Far East, whether it be in Australasia, or whether it be in America. You know, the clamour to be a Liverpool supporter, to watch Liverpool, is something that, you know, I think it's probably unique to the Liverpool Football Club. Leicester do have the fans. I mean, it's back to familiarity a little bit, playing against an English side, albeit Leicester is much changed in the summer, with like a lot of players leaving and not so many coming in, but one or two, and they'll be looking forward to hopefully a really productive season in the Championship, and hopefully can get back into the Premier League next season.
Yeah, that's the aim for Leicester City. That there was a lot of soul searching in the aftermath of their relegation, and the aim for them is to get back into the top flight at the first opportunity. For Liverpool, I think there was a lot of soul searching themselves after what happened at the end of last season. Now, with plenty of changes, Virgil van Dijk leads Liverpool out in Singapore for another preparation game. It is the standard Chartered Asia Trophy, but ultimately, as we know, for those that are going out there in those white and green quarters today, it is very much down to Liverpool to focus on getting themselves right. Whereabouts are they in terms of their fitness now, Gary? You know, by the time the season starts, you're never 100%, are you? Probably 80, 90 or so, and that builds up over the first month of the season when you start competitive games. So where are they now?
Well, I think when you look at the game so far, I mean, most of the players have only played 45 minutes maximum, haven't they? You would have thought possibly like one or two would extend that maybe to an hour or something like that in this game. But I mean, who knows? It's really down to the well, when I say down to the manager, it's probably down to like the medical people and like the fitness coaches and things like that. But certainly, doubting his quality. I don't know the fella, so I'm not sure about his leadership qualities, but obviously the new manager has been impressed with him and made him his skipper. You know, I think Harry Winks is just a young, probably more agile Yari Tielemans, so I think that's a good fit for Leicester.
Well, we are underway in Singapore, match number 3 for Liverpool of pre-season. They are taking on Leicester City of the Championship. It will take some used to saying that. Connor Cody, by the way, for Leicester City, who the former Liverpool man who has signed as well from Wolves, he's out with an injury today, just as a footnote to the Leicester team news, which is why he's not involved. But it's going to be all about Liverpool. Our focus very much on the men who are playing in their change colours for the first time today, and Jurgen Klopp's been really happy with the way things have been progressing so far. The first touch there is by Pereira, as they try to play the ball away and come downfield. Ricardo Pereira started at left back, by the way, with Timothy Castagna on the right-hand side. There is Enzo Maresca, who you'll probably remember from his time at West Bromwich Albion as a player. He was always a bright young talent, maybe never quite fulfilled his full potential, but his coaching qualities undoubted. He's really well respected and very innovative. Say young coach, I suppose he's a young coach still. Here's Bobby Clark for Liverpool and Andrew Robertson. Clark able to advance and find Diogo Jota. Referee gets in the way of the pass to Alexander-Arnold, but then manages to get out of the way. Here comes Salah, looking to thread it through for Nunez. Salah goes again, but is marshalled well by Callum Doyle.
He just gets outnumbered, Mohamed Salah. There's plenty of Leicester players back there. We've seen in the previous games the combination between Mohamed Salah and Darwin Nunez has been quite productive for Liverpool. On that occasion, it doesn't quite work out for the man in the green and white shirt.
Callum Doyle, by the way, only 19. He is a Manchester City player, but has been on loan for the last 2 seasons. First at Sunderland, where he was very, very good, and then at Coventry, where I think he was even better last season. He really stood out in what was unfortunate in the end for Coventry not to go, but he was brilliant, wasn't he?
It's actually Leicester's first game, isn't it? Coventry City in the Championship in a week's time.
Is that class as an East Midlands derby?
That is a big derby, yeah.
I thought Leicester class Forest as their biggest game.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They won't be playing them this year, though.
No. Coventry Leicester's always, well, certainly when I was playing, it was a big derby.
This is Dewsbury Hall. Casey McAteer is the player ahead, but seen by Alexander-Arnold. McAteer, as we say, is the player you probably have never seen before. He's been on loan at Forest Green and Wimbledon in the last couple of seasons.
No relation to our Jason.
There's an obvious gag there that you won't make.
He's a far better player than Jason.
Hey. He has a couple of appearances in the first team for Leicester in the Cup, and he came on in the Premier League as a sub a couple of years ago, but mainly out on loan, learning his trade, as many of the young players do. We'll go back by Castagna to Mads Hermansen, who's the new goalkeeper at Leicester, arrived from Brøndby in the Danish Super League. And now Yannick Vestergaard, who, I mean, he was almost a ghost, wasn't he, last season at Leicester, having been so good for Southampton. It just didn't work for him, but the players that have gone, we'll go through for you in a moment, but big responsibility on those that have remained. I mean, if you want me to go through Maddison, Barnes, Tielemans, Soyuncu, Amati, Pero, Ayose Perez, Johnny Evans, Nampalys Mendy, so many have gone, haven't they? It's amazing, really. But it was always going to be a huge turnover, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I think you kind of got that impression, like, towards the end of the season as well, that players were kind of knowing that they were going to be leaving the club, and they just didn't quite give like full commitment.
Here's McAteer. There's a little bit of space for Mark Albrighton here, whose cross is a little high for Dewsbury Hall. Mark Albrighton still there, and I guarantee that he'll be a big part of what Leicester are going to try and do this season. I mean, his effort, his energy have been part and parcel and symptomatic, really, of Leicester over the last seemingly numerous years. Crazy to think that he's only 33 now. It feels as though he's got 43. Mark Albrighton. 10 years this year that he's been at Leicester. It's a foul by Ndidi.
Well, he's a little bit unfortunate, Ndidi.
He should be huge in the Championship, shouldn't he? I mean, he'd be another who was probably disappointing last season. Lots of injuries as well, but...
Well, I think when you look back, and certainly 2-3 years ago, you would have said Ndidi was probably one of the best midfield players in the Premier League. But, you know, maybe a lack of confidence, lack of form. You know, I don't know quite what happened to him, but he'll be a big player for Leicester.
Speaking of big players, here's Curtis Jones. Alexander-Arnold.
Well, it is interesting. Trent Alexander-Arnold has gone into that central position from a right-back position, it has to be said.
It's back with Hermanson, out towards Callum Doyle. This is Winks, and then Ndidi. Winks is the sitter. This might break for Nunez. It's a good challenge by Vestergaard. And there's a late one there, and it's very, very late. And it's a sore one for the new Liverpool man.
Oh, Dewsbury Hall, I think it was. It was a late challenge. It was a bit of a cheap shot because he's come straight through the back of Lexi McAllister. There's no way that he's even trying to make contact with the ball there. I mean, all day long that's a yellow card, isn't it? But in this friendly fixture, he gets away with it.
I watched Brighton and Newcastle 36 hours ago in the USA, and there were some tackles in that were a little naughty. There were 2 yellow cards in the game. It could have been about 22. Brighton looking good in pre-season. They lost the game, but they battered Newcastle, were 1-0 up, and then brought on all the kids, and then got sucker punched late on. But a lot of teams have looked very good in pre-season. It's delivered. Diogo Jota looked comfortable for Mads Hermansen.
Well, it's well picked out by Trent Alexander-Arnold. Jota was a bit of a nothing ball into the 6-yard box. Comfortable for the goalkeeper.
Dewsbury Hall.
I think.
Sorry,
well, just I think you can safely see the influence Maresca's had on his team. They're quite comfortable from playing out at the back, and
Ricardo just going into midfield, a la any of the Manchester City players that would have done it previously. Like we saw Joao.
Yeah, I was talking to Jan actually, like the build-up to the match, and it's interesting that Manchester City that they use a centre-back to do that now with John Stones.
It wasn't before, was it?
No, it wasn't. I mean, Kyle Walker did that, like he moved in, or Cancelo was it as well. But now they've moved the centre-back in as opposed to the full-back into a midfield area.
That's McAteer. It breaks from Daka, and the forward ball. What a save that is by Quivine Kelleher. Top stop by the Irishman as Ndidi ran through on goal. Brilliant alertness from Quivine Kelleher.
A little bit sloppy Liverpool. And they need the goalkeeper to come to the rescue. And certainly Quivine Kelleher does that. Little flick there, really takes Kanati out the picture, and really that is a world-class save. Learns from the best, obviously. Alisson, training and working with Alisson day in, day out. That's what happens, that's what you learn. Liverpool still on level terms, thanks mainly to their goalkeeper Kelleher.
Here's Robertson. Alexander-Arnold, and a little flick on for Darwin Nunez. It's a brilliant little dink, but it's not going to count. The flag is up. Lovely little touch to himself as the ball was played forward, but it did look as though he was a fraction offside as the ball came to him. Very nearly another one though for Darwin Nunez.
Trent Alexander-Arnold from a central position makes the pass and clearly see that he is offside. Nice little flick by McAllister in an advanced position. I think that might be the case where Jurgen wants to play him. And Darwin Nunez, as he does and as all strikers will do, play on the shoulder of the last defender. But on that occasion he just strays a little bit offside.
It's back by Winks to Hermansen, the goalkeeper. Signed a 5-year deal a couple of weeks ago. That's another good ball, another good run by Ndidi, and it's away by Van Dijk. Leicester have looked dangerous on the counter-attack here.
Well, a little bit concerned there. Liverpool just a little bit too easy to play through. You always, when you play a high line as a back four, runners from midfield will always cause you a problem. It was Ndidi on that occasion. He could have possibly taken a pot shot himself, Ndidi, but chose to make the pass, and doing so just allowed Virgil van Dijk to get back into position to make the clearance.
Albrighton with the corner up towards Vestergaard, who got a giant leap, giant man as well, and got too much on the ball in the end.
I don't think he needs to leap too high. And jumping with Jota at the far post, Jota just doesn't do enough, to be quite honest with you.
He was really good at Southampton, wasn't he? He had a really good year, went to Leicester because of the form that he'd shown at Southampton, and then I don't know, it just seemed to hit the buffers, didn't it, really?
I suppose it doesn't help if you're playing in a team that are struggling and maybe one or two like players dissenting.
Well, that's Salah looking for Alexis McAllister. Will come back from the Argentine. They had a lot of problems, didn't he, as well, injury-wise. I mean, Soyuncu was injured a lot. Johnny Evans missed a lot of football. So Vestergaard was playing. Wilfred Ndidi played there for a long time. Played there against. Actually, had a really good game against Liverpool there.
I think Amartey was like, yeah. They played the two of them, like, didn't they, centre backs?
Here's Clark. Now Jones. Robertson. Alexander-Arnold. McAllister. Tried to thread it right through the eye of that needle, but it was closed. Clark. Robertson can't thread it back towards Bobby Clark. It's a foul by Van Dijk on Patson Daka. Jamie Vardy is here. He saw him before the game chatting away with Jurgen Klopp, who has always spoken glowingly of Jamie Vardy. He's annoyed Klopp enough with his goals against Liverpool down the years. But he's still at Leicester, he stayed. Talked about those that have gone. Saw Burnley go down and come back up with a hugely changed squad, a hugely different style as well. Vincent Kompany with a really positive attacking brand of football.
Well, in fairness, I mean, Brendan, Leicester have always been a team that want to play out from the back and play football.
Well, they've overplayed here. Darwin Nunez has nicked the ball for Liverpool, and he wants to make something happen. It's going to come to Salah. Alexander-Arnold, the ball was a little behind him and on his left foot, which meant that he just had to hit it and hope, really.
Yeah, I mean, it looks a threatening move from Liverpool. It comes there, you think, to an end. Salah, I mean, in fairness to him, you just try to set up Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Alexander-Arnold just pointed to the right as if they wanted it there.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I think if Mohamed Salah had held on to it, I think Trent Alexander-Arnold was going to go beyond them and maybe get round the back and maybe been a better option, but the layoff wasn't just right for the full-back, and it was a weak shot in the end. Comfortable save by Hermansen.
Bromby's Player of the Year last year. He did win the Danish. He never played actually when they won the Danish League. Marvin Schwab was the first choice goalkeeper. It's McAteer, that's quick. And Konate makes sure that Kelleher is in trouble. It's been a good outlet so far, McAteer on this left-hand side.
They've certainly looked dangerous, Leicester, on the counter-attack. Does exceptionally well there. That little touch there, like, just takes it past Trent Alexander-Arnold, and he's got nowhere to go, Trent. He's full pelt, can't stop. Again, Liverpool, it's just a little bit too easy to play through them.
Albrighton will take the corner. Again, Vestergaard is moving around from the penalty spot, looking to get on the end of it, and then he does win the header again as old Van Dijk actually knocked it onto him, which meant that he had no control over what he was doing.
Well, that's a coming together of a couple of giants, isn't it? Vestergaard and Virgil van Dijk.
Alexander-Arnold wants to play up. Patson Daka's had a grab of him, which the referee would have stopped had the Liverpool man not kept the ball.
Just going back to Trent Alexander-Arnold, you know, when you've gone from a full-back position into a central midfield position,
That's a switch from one side to the other, and Salah. He's looking for a pullback to McAllister. His Dewsbury Hall, who's overrun that. Tied it up by Alexander-Arnold.
Oh, he does well there. Just saying about moving into a central position in midfield. I think when you move into that midfield area, your defensive duties become a little bit different, and I think if you're moving back to full-back, where you've got to defend quite a bit more one-on-one situations, then I think you just get a little bit sloppy defensively, and I think Trent on a couple of occasions just looked a little bit reluctant to make, you know, contact with players and get a tackle in.
Sniped from Bobby Clark, and then a kick by Nunez won't find Jota, which is what he would have. Got to theorise for you now. Is that the right word?
Theorise, yeah.
And it comes from Manchester City, which is why Stones was made the central midfielder. That when you lose the ball and you defend it, it's too far to go for the fullback to drop into fullback again. That the centre half comes across to play fullback, and then the midfielder drops into centre back.
As I say, I was talking to Jan about that like, in the build-up. I think that's exactly right.
And to be fair, towards the end of last season, and I think you picked out on a number of occasions, you saw that Konate would drop out to right back, and Alexander-Arnold would then become an extra centre back. It's just that whoever's nearest, whoever's going to get there first, takes responsibility.
Well, I think it's, you know, it takes some. You got to work on it. And
tidy from Winks, that.
Yeah, he's a tidy player, isn't he, Winks? To say, I think he's an ideal replacement for Yuri Tielemans.
Well, Robertson does well to get there with Albrighton closing in. He's still sharp, Mark Albrighton, despite the miles on the clock, and there are a lot of them, having broken through at Villa when he was still but a teenager, and a young player as well. He played for Aston Villa with James Milner. It's not long ago. Here's Alexander-Arnold. And Konate. I think one of the oldest things you say, Gary, is that football's still essentially the same game it's always been. There are just different little faces put on it.
Oh, I clearly remember, like, Phil Neal playing central positions as well back in the day.
That's how he scored in the European Cup final. That's a ball for Nunez. The pullback is for Clark. It won't sit down for him. Still going though. Can't quite tee it up for Alexis McAllister. Alexander-Arnold. It's just going to run away from Diogo Jota, who will keep the ball in play. Castagne will track with him. This is Robertson. Liverpool are coming more and more into this game now as we approach the 20-minute mark. Salah, Alexander-Arnold. Really interested at the positioning that Alexis McAllister is taking up for Liverpool in these games so far. Just seems to have that ability to get into those really good tight areas and move the ball on.
I know he's got a number 10 on his shirt, but his role in the games that I've watched has been a number 10, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say as well, I mean, it's a knack that the fella who used to wear 9 had brilliantly, didn't it, to get in those areas and move the ball on to one of the wide players to go on and score.
Well,
Which is what they did.
I mean, it is interesting. I mean, when you got Darwin Nunez as a...
That's Jones with the hit. Hermansen does spill it as it bounces a little awkwardly in front of him, but is able to gather.
You know, when you got Darwin Nunez playing as a number 9, he is an out-and-out number 9. He's not a false number 9. He's certainly not any Bobby Firmino. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how the manager wants to play. I mean, that was a difficult opportunity. It was like a hard ball to bring down. Young Bobby Clark did exceptionally well, but it was never going to be a goal-scoring opportunity, that.
Hermansen's just put an old-school size 12 through that.
Well, that's an awful ball to defend, isn't it? Like, for a defender, like over the top of you bouncing, you know, like you got man right on the back of you. Never easy to defend that. Konate did pretty well in the end.
Do you think Leicester will come straight back? Put you on the spot in July.
No, I don't. No.
Oh, really?
No.
That's interesting. Here's Castagnet. You see straight away Ricardo going into midfield again. Enzo Maresca's only had a few weeks of pre-season training. Of course, Leicester did come back a little earlier than Liverpool, given the earlier start. That's Dewsbury Hall, read by Van Dijk. It was a crunchy challenge on him by Patson Daka, and it does actually earn a corner.
Well, I don't think Virgil van Dijk going into that challenge was expecting that. Hobbles away. Hopefully he's okay.
He's feeling that, isn't he? He's the Liverpool captain. You see, he's just readjusting himself and sorting himself out down there. He was shaken, not stirred there, wasn't he? Just for a moment. Steepler from Albrighton, but too big even for Yannick Vestergaard. You see Dominic Szoboszlai talking to Kostas Tsimikas down there. And as Jurgen Klopp pointed out, had it been a competitive game the other day, that Szoboszlai would have been able to play, but as Gary points out many times in pre-season, if there's any knock, if there's any strain, if there's any problem at all, then you just don't play. Leicester have won a corner here. Mark Albrighton has won it off Diogo Jota.
Well, they're certainly given as good as they're getting, Leicester, aren't they? I think when you break it all down, they probably had the better of the opportunities, and they probably feel a little bit aggrieved the fact that it's still on level terms. Liverpool have looked a little bit sloppy, a little bit lacklustre. No zip about them at this moment in time.
Well, the corner is delivered. It's Konate who wins the header. And away by Robertson. I'll tell you something interesting we spotted there in a second, but first we'll see Doyle. And now on to McAteer, who tried the drop shoulder one way, drop it the other, and does win the tackle. And now has the ball again, but Doyle's offside. Robertson and Alexander-Arnold stayed on alternate sides then from the corner. Normally they swap, don't they?
They normally swap, yeah.
Wonder if that will be a fixture moving forward.
Yeah, good spot that. Doyle in clearly an offside position.
Here's Curtis Jones. Darwin Nunez will chase, but will chase a lost cause there. He always had a little too much on it.
Idea was good, wasn't it? It was a good ball, just overhit.
Oh, well, Leicester have given this away, and Nunez to Salah, and the goalkeeper's managed to claw it away as Jota closes in. This is Nunez. It's a brilliant turn, that, to step away from one challenge. Just got a little chaotic on the edge of the penalty area. Jones, Jota, Jones again. Listening to Curtis Jones speaking this week, he sounded mature, level-headed, learnt from his, I think it certainly shaken him up, the injury problems he's had. He's found Robertson there, but I think that it's also given him a re-evaluation of where he's at, where he wants to be. It can drive you on, can't it? Really can. And we saw the end of last season. I mean, was there a midfielder in better form in the Premier League than him?
Oh, his performances towards the end of the season were good, weren't they? And, you know, hopefully all his injury worries and problems are behind him.
Deserves a bit of luck, doesn't he, Curtis Jones? Deserves a good run. Liverpool's corner. The goalkeeper Hermanson decides to punch. It's probably easier to catch there. Liverpool try again, but Dewsbury Hall's in the way. Almost in a similar vein to Curtis Jones. He burst on the scene, didn't he? Scored a couple of goals, and again, another looking to revitalise himself and become a big part of what Leicester are doing. Here's Alexis McAllister. Robertson delivers. It's just a little bit too big for Van Dijk. And Brighton will see the ball out of play.
Well, I think he must have lost the flight of that Virgil van Dijk, because I thought it was a pretty decent ball, to be fair. I mean, had it been a centre forward as opposed to the centre half, then it might have been a different prospect. He might have attacked it a little bit more.
Don't let him hear you say that. Liverpool have won the ball back again. Leicester have been a little careless in possession, haven't they, in their own half last few minutes? Or maybe Liverpool's press has just been that
a little bit better, yeah.
Here's McAllister. Alexander-Arnold. Lovely turn by Jones, now moves it. McAllister takes up a good position, crosses deep round the back, probably Clark won't quite get there. Ball that was looking for Andrew Robertson, didn't quite have the legs on it, and then Didi, and that is just out of play as Albrighton was trying to stay on the touchline.
I'm not quite sure if the whole ball was out there.
As he was out of play, though, the liner was always probably going to go against him, wasn't he? Here's Salah.
Just feels a little bit isolated, Mohamed Salah, when he's in possession of the ball. The fact that Trent moves into that central position.
Plenty of intent from Van Dijk to win that ball. McAllister can't quite thread it through for Clark. Konate is well, Dewsbury Hall turned away from him, and Ibrahima Konate nearly picked him up and carried him.
He does that quite often, doesn't he? He just gets a little bit too close to Konate, and all arms and legs, isn't he? And
he was as close to picking him up there as you could be. Here we go. Arm round him, up we go. Oh, had he not fallen over, he probably would have picked him up and carried him. It's Doyle. Again, they've given it away. Again, Liverpool have closed that space down nicely. Plenty of intent from Van Dijk in that last challenge we saw a moment ago, which is on Daka, who caught him a few minutes ago. See the way Liverpool are dominating this game at the moment, and have been for the last 10 minutes. Alexander-Arnold, that's a lovely little thread for McAllister. Diogo Jota, and he's gone for goal. Hermanson saves, but it won't keep out Darwin Nunez, who can't stop scoring in pre-season for Liverpool. That, in terms of what he's done so far, was an absolute gift.
Well, get the ball into a danger area, and Darwin Nunez, 9 times out of 10, will get on the end of it. And his return of goals last season was a pretty good one. I'll be hoping for better this season. Has to be said that had the goalkeeper not touched it, the ball probably would have gone beyond Darwin Núñez. The touch from the goalkeeper certainly helped him. But as a centre forward, you've got to be in that sort of position to take the benefit of it. Just peels off the back of Pereira. Does well to get it back on target. The ball across the goalkeeper. I'm not 100% sure if that was a shot or a cross from Diogo Jota. Regardless, it's fine in the back of the net.
Cross-come shot. Well, he scored a lot of goals in pre-season last year, didn't he, Darwin Núñez? Those little niggles, and of course the red card that didn't help him early on. But if he can hit the ground running this season, he's going to take some stopping. It's the Uruguayan, who, I mean, his effort can never be faulted, can it? And if he and McAllister can link up the way they have on a number of occasions, bodes well. Andrew Robertson went, stopped. Diogo Jota played the ball as though he was still going.
Yeah, it's communication.
It's one of those that you just smile at, isn't it?
Well, you can't do anything else. You see the man running, and if the man pulls up, then there's not an awful lot you can do.
Leicester played a game at Northampton, which they won. They were supposed to play Tottenham in Thailand. That was called off because of the weather. They had a horrendous thunderstorm. And now they play Liverpool and a couple more little warm-up games before they take on Coventry next week. Amazing, isn't it?
6th, isn't it?
How's it come round so quickly? It's like it never ends. It's a ball for Salah. Ricardo Pereira in his orthodox position to deal with it. There's Van Dijk. Well, we said Liverpool were dominating. They have been dominating from about the 18-19 minute mark, where they really took a firm grip of this game. You sensed the goal was coming. They have got a goal. Dictating, dominating, controlling, and looking nice and smooth now. They're a little slow in starting the game, but I suppose that could be forgiven. Particularly, I mean, you've got the fact that they flew out overnight and arrived late, and then they trained, of course, and quick turnaround. That's a ball for Núñez again. Ricardo Pereira is in the way. Alexander-Arnold. Oh, it's a lovely ball, isn't it? Just a readjustment from Robertson. He couldn't quite control the volley in the end.
Well, that's back to the old Liverpool, isn't it? Both full-backs involved. Again, the early pass from Trent Alexander-Arnold is a good spot. I don't think he just hits this willy-nilly. I think he actually picks out Andrew Robertson. And if anything, he just gets in there maybe a little bit too early, does Robbo, a little bit underneath him, and hence the reason he can't control the volley.
Just saying, Liverpool have only had a couple of days to
it's difficult.
Yeah. Leicester have been here for a week. Had a lengthy training camp out here.
I think anybody that's been to
that's brilliant from Jota. He was actually clipped, stroke held by Vestergaard, which meant that he couldn't get onto the return ball from Darwin Núñez.
Yeah, I think anybody that has been to the Far East will appreciate the humidity and the difficulty of playing football in such climate. It's not easy.
It was hot in Germany. The last game, of course, temperature dropped massively, and we had that thunderstorm, but it's over 30 degrees in Singapore. The one thing that players talk to you about when they play here, you played out here as well, of course, it is almost trying to get the air into your lungs, the humidity and the change. I mean, they're used to playing all over the world now, these players, but Still takes a bit of getting used to. It's McAllister, that's wonderful, the way that he's done that. And it's on to Salah here, and the tee up. Oh yes, Bobby Clark for Liverpool. Lovely goal. They've just got better and better as this half has gone on. That's a lovely moment for Bobby Clark. It's a really good finish.
Well, it is a really good finish, and it's a lovely set-up again by Mohamed Salah. He realises he can't do it himself. More often than not, we see Mohamed Salah in that sort of position, cut in and try and shoot with his left foot on his own. But he gets his head up, lays it back into the path of young Bobby Clark, and it's a lovely, calculated little finish into the bottom corner.
Once again, Alexis McAllister was at the start of it. Bobby Clark was the end of it. Swept home beautifully.
Well, you can see there Bobby Clark, he gets himself in a position where he's got that ability to score. Inside the 18-yard box, he goes and supports the ball. Mohamed Salah's looking for options, can't take it on his own. He's got two players to beat Mohamed Salah, and then just sets it up lovely for the youngster to hook it into the bottom corner.
Liverpool, who could easily have been behind, and now are too clear, and
that's a nice
good value for it now.
Nice little touch. Did you hear the song?
Yes.
Different Bobby, but still Bobby.
Here's Jones. Here's Salah. Yeah, I'm not certain what the Sim Senor would translate to in Geordie. How weird a lad. How weird a lad. As we have mentioned previously, he was born in the south, was Bobby Clark, when his old man was playing at Fulham, but try telling him he's not a Geordie. And very much part of this Liverpool setup now. We've seen him have his taste of competitive action. It was a very, very composed finish for the young man, who will want the opportunities when given them this season. The Europa League, the cup ties, who's to say that he won't be involved in the Premier League? There's so many games to be played over the course of a long season.
Well, I think the one thing in his favour at this moment in time is I'm not sure that Jurgen knows his best starting 11 at this moment in time.
There's a call. Do you know your best starting 11 until the night before the season starts? Here's Diogo Jota. It'll take some working out who plays up front, doesn't it, in that first game? Salah, beautiful, absolutely brilliant from Liverpool. Salah's ball is absolutely delicious, and Diogo Jota, as we know, is as good in the air as anybody. A prodigious leap and a super little glancing finish.
Well, it's a bad goal for Leicester to lose, but wonderful ball in from Mohamed Salah. And the one thing that Jota gives you is that ability to win headers inside the 18-yard box. You can see here the ball out to Salah. Mohamed Salah, as we often see him do, just plays that ball into an area. And really, when you think about the height that Leicester have in their back four, this should really happen. Doyle gets caught underneath it, it goes over him, and then all questions are being asked. But that man there, Jota, has that great ability to just get up and hang in the air and guide that little header into the far corner.
That's the ball forward, which is going to come towards Patson Dak, who's offside.
Well, certainly early on in the game it was Leicester that were causing Liverpool quite a few problems, but the last 10-15 minutes or so it's been all Liverpool, dominated possession, and certainly you would have think that probably put the game to bed, really, from a result point of view.
And here's Curtis Jones. 3 in 9 minutes for Liverpool. Albrighton. That's brilliantly won by Jones and McAllister. Spread for Salah. Nunez goes now. He's trying to touch it back for Salah. The idea was good. Salah wins it back. Liverpool are swarming all over Leicester here. It's been a half of two halves.
Quarter.
Jones. Salah.
Well, Leicester finding it difficult to get close enough to win possession. Just standing off Liverpool. Liverpool quite comfortable and quite happy just to knock it about.
We have seen teams go down and suffer from a hangover from it. And, I mean, some have gone straight through, some have gone close to going straight through, down to League One. And you've got to try and rid yourself of that stench, really, haven't you, from relegation. Here's Diogo Jota. Lucky Clark tried to flick it through. 10 minutes ago we were talking about them going straight back up, of course. Not a long way from that at the minute. It's pre-season though, you don't get carried away or too negative. That's the most important thing. It's a lovely ball, but it's offside against Daka. He disagrees.
Again, like, I mean, Liverpool playing that high line, you want to play on the shoulder. It's tight.
I'm calling that onside. My VAR review that.
I think you
without the lines.
I think you might be right.
Well, as we say, it is so tight, and quite often in those situations you do need the help of the TV replay. Here come Liverpool again, and that's towards Nunez, but Mads Hermansen will gather. Still only 23. It was a problem position for them last year. We saw Danny Ward starting goal. He had his problems, then had a good run, lost his place, got injured, of course, and Everson came in, had a couple of incredible games, but that's really poor from Leicester. They've given the ball away, and here's Salah. Can't quite find the ball for Nunez. McAllister's strike hits Vestergaard. That was awful from Leicester, though, that wasn't it?
Yeah, I think any time the goalkeeper dilly-dallies and doesn't make the ball, make the pass quick enough, then it just allows the opposition to swarm all over you.
Nose hip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No direction almost. It felt to the pass. It was knocking it into trouble.
I mean, Kasper Schmeichel was such a big influence on Leicester.
On and off the field.
I think that was a big loss for them last season. Danny Ward probably biding his time, thought that all his eggs had come in the one basket.
He'd waited, hadn't he? He'd made the move from Liverpool. He waited so long for Schmeichel to hand over the reins to him. But again, I mean, what a difficult time to be made number one. Had it been 12 months before, it probably would have been a lot easier, but just started bad on day one, didn't it? Here's McAllister again. Nunez, and the door is closed by Doyle. Again, you see Callum Doyle's reaction to Alexis McAllister just getting into those areas and causing mayhem.
Well, I think it's certainly a ploy, isn't it, that Liverpool look to be using. The fact that Trent comes in that central midfield position, in a deep line position, allows Alexis McAllister to play in that number 10 role and be the feeding line for the likes of Darwin Nunez and Jota and Mohamed Salah. Albeit Mohamed Salah's been the assist machine at this moment in time.
Clark, very, very tidy, Bobby Clark, and he's got himself a goal. Either side of those you expect to score, but goals from midfield are a big part of what moving forward Liverpool will want to add. Fella there did it well at the end of last season, Curtis Jones. Brilliant from Robertson. And his pirouette, and ball will find Salah. And it's Alexander-Arnold. Well, there were three coming out to block it. It was Dewsbury Hall who got in the way in the end. Salah again.
There was just like too many bodies in the way, wasn't there? From the shot.
Probably didn't get hold of it like you would want as well, would it? The same, it was quite low, wasn't it?
Well, to be honest with you, it looked as if it was I'm going to hit it, but I don't really want to hit it kind of shot.
Jones.
And I think from that distance you have to be totally committed. Always remember Douglas saying, like, see the ball flying at the top corner, think you're a Brazilian.
Well, Alexis McAllister's done brilliantly to win the ball, and Diogo Jota is denied a fourth Liverpool goal of the first half.
Well, for a minute I thought Hermansen had actually got a hand to this. Good pressing by Alexis McAllister, could have been given a free kick. Lays it back into the path of Jota, looks for all the money that, like, the goalkeeper actually gets a hand on it. But
might have taken a little bobble that and hit his ankle rather than his boot, just the way it ballooned up. Have a closer look at it later, no doubt. Here is Dewsbury Hall. It's Leicester side wanting to take something out of the first half, in which they looked dangerous early on. That's Konate with the challenge. It is a corner. 1 minute of time being added on, which we've got about 10 seconds of left.
Well, they faded badly, Leicester, out of this game. Liverpool certainly in domination mode at this late stage in the first 45. This might be an opportunity to get some sort of salvation before half-time.
Well, Dewsbury Hall will take the corner. Doyle and Vestergaard are coming from deep. And the ball's flat and away by Andrew Robertson. Notice Robertson was at the near post that time, and Alexander on the far post. There goes the half-time whistle. Liverpool started slowly, took their time to get into this game, but once they did, were they electric. Bobby Clark with goal in between. Another for Darwin Nunez and another for Diogo Jota as well. For the last, 25 minutes of that half, Liverpool looked really, really slick, really smooth, and they were so dominant. Half-time, Liverpool 3, Leicester City 0.